What happens when one of the world's most beloved comedy icons steps onto a daytime talk show, expecting laughs and lighthearted conversation, only to be ambushed by the sharpest, most confrontational host on television? What unfolded next wasn't just awkward, it was explosive. This was the moment Joy Bahar's biting questions collided with someone who simply refused to back down. A moment so tense it left the studio stunned, rattled the audience, and ended in an on-air meltdown nobody saw coming. And here's the kicker: the real shock wasn't the ending, it was just how fast everything spiraled completely out of control. Stay with me, because this interview didn't just go off script, it went off the rails in ways you'll never forget. The energy in the View studio was electric even before the cameras rolled. The audience buzzed with anticipation. The hosts joked among themselves, laughing. Everyone was relaxed, until Adam Sandler walked out. His familiar grin instantly lit up the room, and the crowd erupted in heartfelt applause. This wasn't just another guest. This was a face millions had grown up with, a man tied to decades of laughter, joy, and nostalgia. But that warmth didn't last long. The second the red light blinked on, the room changed. The atmosphere shifted, almost imperceptibly at first. And then it hit like a thunderclap. Joy Bahar leaned forward, her smile tight, her tone sharp. She didn't waste a second. She tore into his latest movie, dismissing it as childish, and then delivered the sting. At your age, shouldn't you make films with real substance? The studio went quiet. Adam's smile faltered for a heartbeat, but he didn't break. Calm and composed, he answered with the wisdom of someone who's spent decades making people laugh. He spoke of stressed parents, exhausted workers, and kids who just need joy, even if only for an hour. Laughter, he explained, is a lifeline in a world that often feels overwhelming. But instead of easing the tension, Joy doubled down. She mocked his explanation, reducing his work to silly voices and crude jokes, and challenged him to name a single movie that actually mattered. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Someone tried to intervene. But Joy pressed harder. She raised her voice, listing political chaos, social injustice, global crises, and accused Adam of profiting off mindless entertainment while the world burned. The tension in the room was palpable. Crew members froze behind the cameras. This was no longer an interview, it was an interrogation. Adam inhaled slowly. His demeanor remained laid back, but you could see the strain. He explained calmly, "Comedy isn't meaningless. Laughter matters, giving people relief that itself has value." Joy rolled her eyes on camera. "Hollywood spin," she scoffed. "You're lowering standards, wasting children's time. Where's the education? Where's the substance?" Then she went further. She accused his films of reducing women to shallow stereotypes, nagging wives, background characters, punchlines, and demanded he justify this in a time when women are fighting for representation. Adam's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady and respectful. He pushed back, detailing the talented women he's worked alongside, the strong roles he's created, the stories that mattered. Joy wasn't having it. "Name one," she challenged. "One film where women weren't just the joke, the reward, or background noise." Adam didn't flinch. He named movies, roles, actresses, storylines, all the evidence that he'd never dismissed female talent. But Joy waved it away, calling them token gestures. She accused him of being part of a broken system, a powerful man making movies about sports, immaturity, and men refusing to grow up. The audience murmured. Some were stunned, some irritated. Adam glanced at the other hosts. But no one intervened. He was on his own. He turned back to Joy, calm, firm. Entertainment and activism don't have to cancel each other out. Both can exist. One doesn't invalidate the other. That's when it happened. Joy snapped. She accused him of prioritizing profit over responsibility, of distracting people from real-world problems while cashing in. Then she dropped the word that changed everything. Exploitation. The studio froze. Adam's familiar smile vanished. Something shifted. A quiet intensity settled over his face. He paused, then spoke softly, every word measured, every word heavy with meaning. "You know what, Joy?" he said. "If we're going to talk about exploitation, then let's really talk about it." Silence. Joy's confident smirk faltered. She felt the balance tipping. Adam repeated the word, slow and deliberate. "Exploitation." And then he delivered the line that made the entire studio lean in, holding their breath. What he said next, it changed everything. "Since you want to talk about responsible use of a platform," Adam said, his voice calm but razor sharp, "let's take a closer look at yours." And just like that, everything changed. The studio felt it. The air grew heavier. Joy Bahar had built her career presenting herself as a champion for women, especially those from marginalized communities. But Adam wasn't playing along. He leaned in, measured and precise. You sit on national television every day, presenting yourself as a moral authority. But when you strip away the slogans and applause lines, what are you really doing? He didn't yell. He didn't shout. He simply held the mirror up. Joy's expression hardened. Her eyes narrowed. She fired back immediately, reminding him she'd been fighting for progressive causes long before he even stepped on a movie set. Then came the personal jabs mocking his comedy, dismissing it as cheap laughs, even taking shots at his past performances. The audience shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't playful sparring anymore. It was a collision. "There it is," Adam said, leaning back slightly, his tone steady but unmistakably firm. "The condescension. The assumption that you're morally above everyone else in this room." He paused just long enough for the words to sink in, then turned the spotlight back on her. "You want to talk about harmful portrayals?" he continued. "Let's talk about how you've spent years presenting liberal women as angry, bitter, and perpetually outraged." The other hosts exchanged nervous glances. The room had crossed from uncomfortable into volatile. Joy snapped, voice rising, claiming he was being disrespectful, insisting she represents real women with real fears. "Not everyone," she said sharply, "has the luxury of joking while the world falls apart." Adam echoed thoughtfully, letting the words hang. Then he asked the question that caught everyone off guard. "When was the last time you actually listened to them?" He leaned in, steady and calm. "In my experience, most women and most people appreciate laughter. They enjoy entertainment that doesn't scold them, that doesn't make them feel guilty for having fun." Joy fired back instantly, accusing audiences of being conditioned, tossing out buzzwords, insisting they deserve better than what he creates. Adam shook his head slowly. "Listen to what you're saying. You're dismissing millions of women simply because they don't agree with you. You're implying they're too ignorant, too manipulated to know what they enjoy. How is that empowering?" Joy insisted women deserve intellectually challenging content, but the confidence in her voice faltered just slightly. Adam didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He simply said, "What you're really saying is that you believe you know better than they do, what they should want, what they should think. That's not feminism, Joy. That's elitism disguised as activism." The studio went utterly silent. Joy, usually unshakable, suddenly seemed off balance. Whoopi tried gently to redirect the conversation, and Joy snapped, cutting her off, locking her attention back on Adam. "How could you? The man behind some of the most infamous comedy ever made possibly claimed to understand feminism better than someone who's lived in this industry for decades," she demanded. Adam smiled, but it wasn't the warm, familiar grin everyone knew. This was measured, controlled, calculated. "Since you brought up that movie," he said, "let's talk about it. You're right. It wasn't my finest work. It was ridiculous. Over the top. Exactly what people expect from me." He paused, then added calmly but firmly, "But you know what it wasn't? It wasn't cruel. It didn't target anyone for how they look, what they believe, or where they come from. It didn't punch down." Joy shot back, insisting it was 2 hours of offensive jokes disguised as comedy. Adam didn't flinch. "And you've spent the last 20 minutes making offensive remarks about my career, my character, and my audience. The difference? My movie was clearly labeled comedy. Your behavior is being sold as journalism." Her face flushed. She insisted she was holding him accountable. Adam leaned in, calm and precise. "No, you're performing. You're using me as a prop to reinforce your image as the moral authority of daytime television. You don't actually care about my films. You care about signaling intellectual superiority." Joy called it ridiculous, but the crack in her armor was undeniable. "Is it?" Adam leaned forward slightly, his voice deliberate. "Name the scenes. Quote the dialogue. Explain exactly how my work has harmed society. Give me specifics." Joy opened her mouth, then closed it. She couldn't. Adam continued, unflinching. "Because you haven't actually watched my movies. You're criticizing a version of my work built on assumptions, headlines, and a handful of online clips." She tried to argue she didn't need to watch them all to understand the impact, but the venom was gone. Adam's voice remained steady. "If you're going to attack someone's work on national television, you do. That's called intellectual honesty." The room was frozen. Every camera, every eye, every heartbeat locked on this verbal duel. And in that moment, you could feel it. The balance of power had shifted. "That's the difference between real criticism and character assassination," Adam said, his voice calm but cutting through the tension like a knife. The energy in the studio shifted instantly. Joy, who had started the interview as the aggressor, was now on the defensive. Adam's steady, unrelenting pressure had flipped the dynamic. Then he leaned forward slightly and delivered the line that would change everything. "You know what your real problem with me is?" he said quietly. "It's not my movies. It's not my success that bothers you. It's the fact that I'm successful making entertainment that doesn't fit your narrow definition of what's acceptable. I don't preach, I don't lecture, and that threatens your idea that art must either instruct people what to think or be dismissed entirely." Joy's hands trembled ever so slightly. Rage, frustration, or something deeper? No one could tell. "My problem with you," she snapped, "is that you waste talent and opportunity while real artists struggle to get meaningful work seen." Adam shook his head slowly, almost sadly. "And there it is. That's the real issue. Joy. Without your approval, anything is considered wasteful. You've positioned yourself as the gatekeeper of culture, deciding who's worthy and who deserves to be torn down for succeeding outside your rules." The polished television persona Joy had perfected over decades was cracking in real time. "You think you're clever," she said bitterly, hiding behind fake humility, pretending you're just a regular guy who wants to make people laugh. "But I see right through you." "What do you see?" Adam asked, genuinely curious now. She didn't hesitate. Privilege, mediocrity, coasting on connections, sidelining women of color, she laid it all on the table. The words hit like poison, and even the other hosts were stunned by how personal this had become. Adam's expression hardened. Calm, measured. "You need to be very careful. What you're doing right now is making false and damaging claims about my character and my career." Joy sneered. "Good. Maybe now you know how it feels to be uncomfortable. Maybe next time you'll think twice before attacking women who are actually trying to change the world." "I didn't attack you," Adam replied evenly. "I responded to your attacks with facts and observations about your behavior. But if you want to make this personal, then let's talk about yours." Joy stiffened. "You've built an entire brand on being the angry moral enforcer," Adam continued, "tearing people down for failing to meet standards that only you get to define." "How dare you?" Joy shot back, her face flushing. She rattled off her years of activism, her battles for social justice, her dedication to progressive causes. Then she demanded to know what he'd done besides profit from childish humor. "I've made millions of people happy," Adam said simply. "I've given families something they can enjoy together. I've created jobs for hundreds of writers, actors, and crew. I've donated quietly to causes without turning it into a performance, and I've never used my platform to personally destroy people who disagree with me." "You're destroying society with mindless content," Joy screamed, her voice sharp, shrill. "No," Adam replied calmly, "you're destroying discourse. The moment you're challenged, you escalate to personal attacks and baseless accusations. That's why people are exhausted by this kind of politics." Joy abruptly stood up, shocking everyone at the table. "I don't have— No," Joy snapped, spinning toward her co-host. "I'm not cooling down. I'm leaving. I will not sit here and be insulted by a Hollywood hack who thinks he's better than everyone else." "I never said I was better than anyone," Adam replied evenly, eyes locked on hers. Adam watched her struggle with the microphone, his voice calm, steady, almost surgical. "But I also won't sit here and be your punching bag while you work through whatever is driving this hostility," he said. Joy whirled toward him, the half-detached mic squealing with feedback, and suddenly the studio descended into chaos. This was the moment the show completely lost control. "You think this is personal?" she snapped, eyes blazing. "This is about principles, about caring for more than box office numbers and celebrity status." "No," Adam replied quietly, measured, cutting through the storm. "This is about you being unable to tolerate disagreement without completely losing control. And honestly, it's painful to watch." That was the breaking point. Joy ripped the microphone from her collar and slammed it onto the table. The sharp clack echoed through the studio like a gunshot. She pointed directly at Adam, her hands trembling with rage. "Fine," she spat. "You win. You've ruined what should have been a simple interview about your forgettable movie. I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope your fans enjoy watching you bully a woman on national television." Adam didn't raise his voice. He didn't flinch. He stayed seated, his expression calm but piercing. "The only person bullying anyone here," he said evenly, "is you. You attacked my work, my character, and the people who support me. I defended myself. That's all." Joy sneered. "Whatever helps you sleep at night." She grabbed her papers and began marching toward the exit, declaring she was done with the show, done with the network, done with a world she claimed confused outrage with journalism. But before leaving, she spun one last time, fury etched across her face. "You want to know what exploitation really looks like?" she shouted. "It's you. fooling decent people into thinking you're harmless while spreading toxic ideas and backward values to their children. Adam slowly shook his head, calm, almost sad. Goodbye, Joy. I genuinely hope you find whatever it is you're actually searching for, because it clearly isn't here. And with that, Joy Bahar stormed off the set. The studio froze in stunned silence. Co-hosts sat slack-jawed. The audience didn't know whether to gasp, cheer, or simply exhale. Cameras lingered on Adam Sandler seated, quiet, not victorious, not smug, just silently disappointed. The only sound was the fading click of her heels down the hallway. An exit that felt bigger than a single interview, bigger than a TV segment, almost like a final unraveling. This wasn't a shouting match. It wasn't a punchline. It was restraint, calm, quiet dignity, dismantling a carefully constructed television persona, exposing the volatility behind years of moral grandstanding. And that was the moment. So what do you think? Was Adam right to stand his ground, or should he have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This one's a debate that isn't going away anytime soon.